So can you tell us a bit about what makes the terroir of your Bentley vineyard here at Jenkyn Place? What makes it unique? How does it kind of taste different to any other sparkling wine in England or elsewhere in the world?
Well, the great thing about the terroir here is that we're on green sand over Milestone, and we have just beyond that hedge over there, 25 yards away, we have chalk going uphill. So when the rain falls on the chalk, trickles through the green sand, and you can see the green sand here. It is very much, this terroir is very similar to the Côte de Blanc in the south end of Champagne, where they grow most of the Champagne Chardonnay. We are 100 metres above sea level, ideal height above sea level. We have a south-facing slope. South is over there, not quite down the line of vines, but over there is south. We have a south-facing slope. We are very well sheltered. And when I first thought about planting a vineyard here, I rang up someone called Roger Marchbank from the UK Vineyard. He was then chairman of the UK Vineyard Association. And I said, I'm thinking of planting a vineyard. Could you give me any advice? And he said, let me come and see you. I'm passing in a week's time. So he came to see me. He walked into this field and we discussed the height above sea level, the south facing, especially the green sand, the chalk, the milestone. And he said, you have an absolutely ideal situation here for an English vineyard. And probably largely because of what he then told me, I then planted the vineyard.
Fab. And what are the challenges? Because it's not always easy plain sailing being an English vintner, is it?
There are an awful lot of challenges. There are the diseases. We are very good here at doing our spraying. We spray very regularly, every 10 days, against the downy mildew, the powdery mildew. And you can see this is a very healthy looking canopy. You can't see brown blotches on the leaves, which you would see if you had downy mildew or powdery mildew. Botrytis, well, that comes later on, that comes in September, but we mostly have that under control. The biggest challenge we had this year was the frost. And the frost was awful. We had an air frost, not a ground frost.
And this was in May?
And this was on the 4th of May. And there was not really very much we could do about it. We are 2 miles away from RAF Odium, where all the Chinooks are based. I could have asked the RAF Odium to send half a dozen Chinooks to hover over the vineyard all night, but even that wouldn't work because it was an air frost, not a ground frost. So even with Chinooks hovering over the vineyard, they would have only been replacing air at -3.5 degrees with more air at -3.5 degrees. Had it been a ground frost, it would have been totally different. So that was our challenge this year, and that is why we have many fewer bunches than we would expect. We would expect normally 3 or 4 times as many bunches as this.
And how much has your yield gone down this year if we compare it to 2013, which was the bumper year? It'll end up being a third of what 2013 was. I mean, 2010 was probably our biggest year, and this will be a quarter or a fifth of 2010. Okay.
But the quality will probably be very good.
And why is that? What's been leading up to great quality this year?
Because there are fewer bunches for each vine to look after in the growing process. Therefore, each vine will have more energy to put into a smaller number of bunches.
Fab.
So probably the quality will be better.
And talking about the good side of being an English sparkling wine maker, what are the benefits? What is it that you really love about having a vineyard here in England, or drinking your own wine?
Well, drinking your own wine is always fantastic. For me, one of the great things about doing it was actually creating a brand name. And I love the idea. This is not my main job. I have another job, but to create a brand name and leave something for posterity, and to create something that gives me satisfaction.
And your daughter is very much involved in
Yeah.
in Jenkyn Place. What is the future for English sparkling wine? Do you think we've got centuries ahead of us? What sort of direction do you think we might see? Tough question.
I hope we have centuries ahead. Of course, the Romans planted vines in England, so the weather then was obviously suitable for planting vines. Yet in the 17th century, you've seen all those old paintings of the Thames frozen over. You couldn't have planted vines then. The long-term weather pattern will determine how long we can have vines here, but certainly I'm certain it'll outlast as long as I live and you live and anyone here lives.
Fab. And we're drinking, my last question, we're drinking today your new release, your 2013. Do you have any favourite pairings, any way that you recommend someone enjoys this sparkling wine?
This is young, considering our last vintage of 2010, which is 3 years, evidently, obviously 3 years older. This is young. This is a wonderful wine for an aperitif, or strawberries and cream, or fish. I mean, it's young and vibrant.
I like your strawberries and cream. That's a very English pairing. Thank you very much.